If you haven't seen it, it sets up a bunch of the characters. It introduces Peter and his brother Andrew, and they're fishermen, and they're dealing with. We know that like the Romans were really oppressing people with taxes, and so Peter's struggling with the tax burden that he's carrying. We meet Matthew. What's interesting is that what the creators of The Chosen, what they do is they have to make some like narrative choices to kind of flesh out all these different characters, but every choice that they made is based on something that the Bible says. So for example, kind of the biggest risk they took is they had Matthew, the disciple, on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum. And I remember when I first saw that, I was like, well, that's an interesting choice. But it comes from somewhere. It comes because Matthew is the most detailed of all the Gospels, and so people who are autistic often have a real eye for details. Matthew is also a tax collector, and so was alienated from society, so maybe someone who didn't pick up social cues, maybe that's something that wouldn't be as problematic for them. I've actually heard from a number of parents of autistic children and even adults who are on the spectrum that it's been very life-giving to see one of Jesus' disciples portrayed with autism. We're introduced to Nicodemus, who we're going to zero in on more. He's kind of one of the main characters in season 1, and I think episode 6 is really focused, 7 really focuses on Nicodemus and the famous conversation that Jesus has with him in John chapter 3. Jesus shows up at the end of it, but the episode mostly focuses on Mary Magdalene. So I want to talk about Mary today. Mary was from the city of Magdala, which is why we get the name Mary Magdalene. Magdala was a city that was on the Sea of Galilee, so it was a fishing center. It was different. It was a Roman fishing center. So there weren't, even though it was in Israel, it was mostly Gentiles who lived in Magdala. And it was kind of had a bad reputation. It was kind of the Las Vegas of its day, so anything that happened in Magdala stayed in Magdala. It was that kind of a place. And so we know a little bit about Mary from the Gospels. Really, the big thing that we know is that she had 7 demons. And so from that, we know that she was leading a really hard life. We don't know the details of her life. Some people have, throughout church history, have speculated that she might have been a prostitute. We don't know that. It doesn't say that. But we do know that if she was living her life with 7 demons, that she was living a pretty rough life, that it wasn't easy, that she was socially isolated, that she was spiritually oppressed, that emotionally things were really hard. And then she met Jesus, and her life got totally turned around. Jesus, when he met her, when he